Hello everyone, it's Latif. So this is my entry for the 3-minute video on acting, the first 6 lessons, specifically from the introduction and the first chapter on concentration. So what I'll do is I will highlight a few excerpts from the text and then just say what I think about it and also any questions I might have about it. Yeah, first of all, from the introduction chapter, there's one particular sentence that the author seems to make a dichotomy between an actor and a dramatist. So he says an actor is usually word shy and inarticulate. His language is a language of movement, whereas a dramatist works easily with words, writes fluently, interprets character, situation, events, manner, and method in his own terms. Why is there a necessity for the dichotomy? Or unless he's just writing generally, not really in terms of absolutes, but in general, most actors are word shy and inarticulate. Yeah. So what does he think about? Sometimes people can be talented in different areas. He can be an actor. He can be both an actor and also a dramatist or a writer in this case. So he can be fluent in words. He can write very fluently, and at the same time also he can be a good actor. He can translate those words into actions in movement. Yeah. The next point is for while an actor's tools are all within his own body and mind and spirit, they are by their very nearness harder to isolate and put to special use than tools of wood and iron. Concentration and observation, experience and memory, movement and poise, creation and projection, an actor must make them all the servants of his talent. So in a sense, like how a musician uses a musical instrument merely as an instrument to produce something, an actor's instrument is actually his own body, and the things that or the elements and aspects that project from his body, his voice, his movement, his facial expressions, and the emotions attached to that, all those expressions. An actor must make them all the servants of his talent. Yeah, so it's basically an actor has to be fully aware of the instrument of his body. Basically, he must be fully aware of the very thing that is attached to him throughout his whole life, which is his own person, his own body. Whereas, another kind of artist, like let's say a painter, the tools and the instruments are not necessarily attached to him 24/7, or a musician, his violin or his musical instrument is not necessarily attached to him 24/7. But for an actor, the very instrument of his body is attached to him, like all the time, and he has to be aware as much as possible how he uses his body, how he uses his voice, his facial expressions in the service of the art of acting. The next point, the actor's art cannot be taught. He must be born with ability, but the technique through which his talent can find expression, that can and must be taught. An appreciation of this fact is of the utmost importance, not only to students of acting, but to every actor who is interested in the perfection of his art. For after all, technique is something which is perfectly realistic and quite possible to make one's own. I think this is one of the beauties of acting. Although here it says that an actor must be born with the ability, that can be interpreted in many ways. The technique through which his talent can find expression, that can be taught. So usually people say talent in terms of music or painting or writing. There's two schools of thought. Some people say talent is inborn. Some people are born with certain talents. Some people are not born with certain talents. But at the same time also, there can be a spectrum of talents. Like maybe a person doesn't have the innate ability to sing, but whatever limited ability that he has to be able to sing can be trained and can be so-called perfected, such that he finds his own voice, and whatever limitations of his voice can form beautiful music. The same thing I think with acting. There are different kinds of acting. I mean, different kinds of actors that we've seen in theatre, in movies, and all that. from Hollywood or from different parts of the world. And sometimes an actor in a certain role may not look or may not appear to be talented, but when he or she is given the right role, that can be the role of his lifetime, and and that can be his moment of where his talent is fully manifested and revealed. So I think it's not just about the training of the technique or the work that is being done to hone or to sharpen the talent, but also beyond that, um, there has to be an opportune meeting of luck, and at the same time, well, basically, that old saying whereby success is the meeting of luck and preparation, right? So the training of the talent of acting, that is a preparation, and then luck, luck is just a matter of like putting oneself out there, going for auditions or producing content. Like nowadays we have different platforms where we can showcase our talent through video platforms and all that. So we don't really have to wait for the opportunity, but just like market ourselves, market our talent through these different video platforms. And one day you might be met with the opportunity of a lifetime whereby your talent is recognized. Yeah. Okay, I'll just next highlight some points from the chapter on concentration, the first chapter. Right, so what is interesting about this chapter is that the creature who does the impersonation of King Lear, okay, there's a difference between merely acting it out, merely like reducing it into a few robotic movements and a few pronunciation of words, and truly internalizing it and truly feeling it and manifesting it, right? So when the author tells this creature that she, I think it's a she doesn't really have the talent uh, to act, just because she was able to do the impersonation of King Lear. She felt emotional about it. She cried, and that single shed of a tear somehow revealed that she was able to act. So I mean, she was able to like fully understand the the demands of the art of acting, right? So the quote here I want to highlight is, "How strange you are so young, you do not hesitate a second before cursing heaven, yet you are unable to speak these words simply and plainly to show their inner meaning. You want to play a Chopin nocturne without knowing where the notes are. You grimace, you mutilate the words of the poet and internal emotion, and at the same time you do not possess the elemental quality of a literate man, an ability to transmit the thoughts, feelings, and words of another logically. What right have you to say that you have worked in the theatre? You have destroyed the very conception of the word theatre." Then when she shed a tear, did she qualify herself to be taught by the author. Right. So the main essence of what it means here to be in the theatre is the ability to transmit the thoughts, feelings, and words of another logically. Right. It's not just about reducing the expression to a few robotic movements or a few cliched, stereotypical movements, following certain patterns, or just like reading the words out loud, enunciating it properly and understandably, but also to transmit the emotions, which is hard, but at the same time also simple. Yeah, I don't know how better to say it. Yeah, so sometimes to express an emotion or express a certain essence of a point, you may only need a couple of words, or you may need like a whole 1,000-word monologue probably, right? So it depends on the context, it depends on the message being conveyed, and depends on the actor himself, the skill of the actor himself to convey the emotion as best as he can.